Welcome to Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving deep into a really critical topic, one that shapes global talent flows and, the U.S. economy itself. The H-1B visa and the optional practical training, or OPT, programs.
Absolutely. And these aren't just bureaucratic acronyms, right? They represent real pathways for skilled professionals, for international students hoping to work here.
Exactly. Pathways, and the landscape around them is, well, it's constantly shifting. We're seeing new data, policy tweaks, lots of national conversation.
A lot of noise sometimes.
That's it. So our mission today is to cut through that noise. We're going to examine the latest official data, recent policy shifts, the public discussions, and really help you understand what's truly important about these immigration policies.
Indeed. We've gathered quite a bit of information looking at updated statistics, who's applying, who's getting approved, but also how applications are being looked at, the scrutiny involved.
And even some of the rumors swirling around, which can have real impact.
Definitely. There's a lot to dissect. So the goal is a clear picture. What's happening, why it matters, and what the implications might be for everyone involved.
Okay, let's kick things off with the H-1B visa program itself. This is the one allowing U.S. companies to hire foreign workers in those specialty occupations jobs, usually needing a bachelor's degree or higher.
That's the one. A specific field requirement is key there.
So looking at the fiscal year 2024, what is our latest analysis, pulling from official reports and the data we've collected? Tell us.
Okay, so for FY 2024, USCIS, that's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, they received 427,084 H-1B petitions.
427,000. Wow. How does that compare to before?
That's up. It's roughly a 10% increase from FY 2023. Now, out of those, 399,395 were approved.
Okay, so approvals also up, but maybe not quite as much.
Right, a more modest 3% rise in approvals. But here's where it gets interesting, I think. The crucial takeaway is the shift we're seeing in the types of employment being sought.
Okay, that's a significant jump in petitions overall. So are companies mainly extending current workers? Or are they really focused on bringing in new talent? What kind of shifts are we talking about?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? And we're seeing a significant lean towards what they call initial employment petitions.
Initial employment, so new H-1B jobs?
Exactly. Often for workers coming into the U.S. workforce for the first time, maybe switching from OPT, that kind of thing. These jump to 35% of all filings.
35%, up from?
Up from 30% the previous year. So correspondingly, continuing employment, that's your extensions, your changes of employer for people already on H-1B, that decreased to 65%.
So definitely more emphasis on bringing in new H-1B workers. That feels like a notable shift. How did that play out in actual approvals?
Well, the approvals mirrored that trend. Initial employment approvals hit a 5-year high, 141,205 approval.
A 5-year high for new jobs.
Correct. And conversely, continuing employment approvals, while still the majority at 258,190, we're actually at a 5-year low.
Interesting. So that really does suggest a growing demand for new H-1B talent to fill roles, not just, routine extensions. Companies actively seeking fresh skills.
It certainly points that way. It signals new growth rather than just maintaining the status quo.
That's a crucial distinction. Okay, now, who are these beneficiaries? Where are they primarily coming from? What's the general profile look like?
The demographic concentration is quite striking. Over 2/3, actually 71% of all approved H-1B beneficiaries in FY 2024 were born in India.
71% from India.
Yeah. China follows as the second most common, but it's a distant second at 12%.
So India and China dominate.
Hugely. Together, they make up the vast majority, nearly 90% of those continuing employment beneficiaries. And still a very significant 71% for initial employment, too.
And the gender breakdown. Age.
Looking at gender, males made up 70% of beneficiaries, females 30%. The median age overall was 34.
Pretty much prime working age.
Right. For initial employment, it skews slightly younger, mostly 25 to 34. For continuing employment, a bit older, mostly 30 to 39.
Okay, clear profile there. What about education? What fields are they working in? And the big question for many, what are the typical earnings?
Education-wise, master's degrees are the most common. 46% of beneficiaries held one, followed by bachelor's degrees at 33%.
So advanced degrees are definitely prevalent.
They are. Now, here's a really interesting point on compensation. You might assume doctorates earn the most, right?
I so, yeah.
But actually, beneficiaries with professional degrees, think medical, law, they reported the highest median annual compensation at $200,000.
$200,000 median. Okay.
Surprisingly, those with doctorates had the lowest median, down at $99,000.
Yeah, 99,000. That's counterintuitive. Why would that be?
Well, it could be due to a few things. Specific fields and high demand paying premiums, maybe? Or perhaps some PhD roles within the H-1B context are more entry-level, like postdoc research positions, compared to established lawyers or doctors.
That makes some sense. It highlights the specific market demands within this program. And occupations. Still tech-heavy.
Oh, absolutely. Computer-related occupations remain dominant. They account for 64% of all H-1B beneficiaries.
64%. Still the lion's share.
By far. And the overall median annual compensation across all approved petitions was $120,000.
120K median overall. Okay. That doctorate compensation point is definitely something to chew on. Now, how about the process itself? Are these applications sailing through, or are there hurdles, any fast tracks?
There definitely are hurdles and fast tracks. Over half, 56% of all approved petitions use premium processing.
So paying extra for speed.
Exactly. Shows a clear demand for faster adjudication from both employers and, likely, the applicants themselves.
And the hurdles. You mentioned scrutiny earlier.
Right. Petitions for initial employment faced a higher rate of requests for evidence RFEs. That's when USCIS needs more info, more documents.
How much higher?
13% of initial employment completions triggered an RFE compared to just 6% for continuing employment.
So new applications definitely get a closer look from the start.
Seems that way. And most approvals, about 89%, granted a validity period of 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Any other processing details that stand out? Industry sectors, previous visa status?
Yeah, a couple of things. The most common industry sector for the employers hiring was professional, scientific, and technical services, almost half of all approved petitions.
Makes sense given the occupations.
And for those already in the U.S. changing their status to H-1B, nearly 3/4 previously held an F1 or F2 student visa.
So that student-to-worker pipeline is very clear in the data.
Very clear. F1 is the student visa. Shows that path from studying here to working here is well-trodden.
Okay, that's a really comprehensive look at the H-1B picture. Increased demand for new talent, strong geographic and occupational focus, and some interesting trends in processing and compensation. Let's pivot now. Let's talk about optional practical training OPT.
Right, OPT. Crucial for international students wanting that post-graduation work experience in their field.
And our deep dive here shows, well, the program is still very much active for 2025, but there are some significant changes creating what feels like a real climate of doubt for many students.
That's a good way to put it. Climate of doubt. While OPT isn't officially ending or anything like that, the pathway definitely feels narrower. Why? Increased scrutiny.
Scrutiny how? What's happening?
We're seeing an analysis from various reports showing more enforcement actions, things targeting sham jobs, fake training setups. This means more checks.
Like what kind of checks?
More social media checks are being reported, new limits on who qualifies for an interview waiver, meaning more people have to actually go in for an interview. And we're even hearing reports of sudden status terminations for some students.
Wow, sudden terminations, that sounds serious. Increased scrutiny can feel vague. Can you give us some hard numbers? Who does this affect? How big is OPT?
Good question. The numbers are significant. In 2024, there were 194,554 students on OPT.
Almost 200,000.
Yeah, and that's a big jump, 21.1% up from 2023. Now, within that, 95,384 were on the STEM OPT extension.
The longer one for science, tech, engineering, math grads.
Exactly, and here's a key demographic point again. Indian students make up a huge portion. About 48% of all STEM OPT participants.
Nearly half of STEM OPT.
Wait, that's roughly 45,800 individuals. And it's estimated to be around 25-30% of all OPT participants, including the non-STEM ones.
So any changes, any increased scrutiny, it's going to disproportionately impact students from India. Creates a lot of concern, I imagine.
Widespread concern, absolutely. The numbers really show the scale.
So what are these specific policy shifts driving this climate of doubt? Beyond just saying more scrutiny, what's actually changing on the ground for these students?
Okay, specifics. Students are reporting much stricter reviews of whether their degree truly qualifies as STEM for the extension, closer checks on whether their actual job duties line up precisely with what's described on their Form I-20.
The I-20, that's the document from their school detailing their program, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So job descriptions need to be accurate and match. We're also hearing about more site visits to employers, applications using vague descriptions of training plans, higher risk of denial now.
So documentation and clarity are key.
Yeah.
What about the other things you mentioned? Social media, interviews.
Yeah, those are significant too. Social media and even activism checks are reportedly becoming part of the screening for some applicants. Posts deemed anti-American have apparently been cited in visa delays or even denials.
That's a tricky area. And the interview waivers.
They've narrowed the criteria quite a bit, meaning more applicants now have to attend an in-person interview, which adds time, potential travel costs, and uncertainty. Longer waits are becoming common.
And I heard something about potential tax changes too. That could add another layer.
That's correct. There are legislative proposals floating around, nothing passed yet, mind you, but proposals that could remove the FICA payroll tax exemption for OPT workers.
FICA, so Social Security and Medicare taxes.
Right. Currently, many OPT students are exempt. If this changes, both the student and the employer would each have to pay that 7.65% in payroll taxes.
That adds up, almost 15% combined.
It does. It could significantly raise the cost of hiring an OPT worker. That might make employers think twice, potentially reducing opportunities for students.
So, okay, let's bring this down to the practical level. For you, the student navigating this, or maybe an employer wanting to hire through OPT, what does all this mean day to day? How do you manage this intensified environment?
The bottom line is meticulous record keeping. It's more crucial than ever.
Like what specifically?
Offer letters, really detailed lists of job duties, pay stubs, schedules showing supervision, proof the employer is using E-Verify, everything.
Document everything.
Absolutely. Applying early for the work authorization, that's Form I-765, is also vital. And choosing your employer carefully, making sure they're compliant and understand the rules, that's paramount.
To travel.
Plan any international travel with extreme caution. Assume potential delays because of screenings, the narrower interview waivers. Basically, your paperwork, your preparation, that's your first and best line of defense right now.
It really sounds like international students are, well, kind of walking on eggshells. It's not just about meeting the stated requirements anymore, but anticipating these new hurdles, preparing for everything.
That's a fair assessment, yes. More vigilance is required.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
Because these programs, H-1B and OPT, they don't exist in isolation, do they?
Not at all.
They sit right in the middle of a pretty heated national debate about American jobs, immigration, the future of the workforce, especially now with uncertainty in the white-collar job market and AI rapidly changing skills needs.
Exactly. And it boils down to a fundamental and often contentious question.
Which is?
Is the H-1B program primarily filling critical skills gaps that we genuinely have? Or is it, as critics argue, displacing American workers? There are strong arguments on both sides.
Let's hear them. Starting with the proponents. Why do they say H-1B is necessary?
Well, proponents, and you hear this a lot from tech leaders, argue passionately that H-1B visas are absolutely vital for attracting the best global talent, especially in STEM fields, and for driving innovation.
The global war for talent argument?
Precisely. They consistently point to significant skills gaps here in the U.S. software development, engineering areas where they say the domestic workforce alone just can't meet the demand.
Any data to back that up? Job creation claims.
There's some research suggesting each H-1B visa holder actually creates almost 2 additional jobs for native-born workers. And think about the broader economic impact. International students, many on OPT or hoping for H-1B, contributed an estimated $40 billion to the U.S. economy in 2024 alone.
$40 billion, that's substantial.
It is. The argument is essentially, if you want your economy, your companies to compete and win globally, you need to recruit top talent from everywhere.
Okay, so that's the case for H-1B driving innovation and growth. What about the counter-arguments, the concerns about displacement and misuse?
Critics paint a different picture. They contend the program is, well, exploited by some companies, not all, primarily to reduce labor costs.
How so?
By allegedly bypassing qualified American candidates who might command higher salaries. They argue this practice suppresses wages overall in certain fields.
And the impact on the foreign workers themselves.
Critics also argue it can place these foreign workers in vulnerable positions. Their visa status is tied to their employer, giving them limited ability to change jobs, negotiate better terms. Some have even used terms like indentured servitude, though that's obviously strong language.
So the argument is that it's intended for specialized skills, but sometimes misused, potentially harming American workers and exploiting foreign ones, especially when the job market is tight.
That's the core of the criticism, yes.
Now, we've also seen politics play a big role here. Policies seem to swing back and forth depending on the administration. What have we observed there?
Oh, definitely. We've seen really notable shifts. Historically, looking back at former President Trump's first term, his administration put restrictions in place. H-1B denial rates for initial employment shot up, think, 24% in FY 2018 compared to just 6% back in FY 2015.
A huge jump in denials.
Yeah. He also issued proclamations suspending entry for various visa holders, though some of those were blocked by courts later.
And the Biden administration.
They largely followed legal settlements that effectively ended many of those earlier, more restrictive practices. The result: denial rates dropped significantly again, down to like 2.2% in FY 2022.
Now, policy really does make a direct impact on approval rates.
Absolutely. But what's particularly interesting now is that recent statements from President-elect Trump suggest a perhaps more favorable view towards H-1B visas moving forward, expressing support.
So the political winds might be shifting again.
It highlights how fluctuating policy can be based on who's in the White House. It keeps everyone guessing to some extent. And just to be clear, we're reporting these observed shifts in statements, not taking a side on the politics itself.
Understood. And this constant churn, the policy changes, the intense debate, it must create real anxiety for people actually in the system, right? We saw that recently with some unverified rumors.
We did. It's quite something how quickly unconfirmed reports, especially online, can spread and cause genuine concern, even if they're later denied or clarified.
You're talking about the Walmart situation.
Exactly. There were online discussions, reports alleging this massive fraud involving H-1B holders and a VP at Walmart's global tech division.
What was the allegation?
The rumors, mostly spreading on platforms like Reddit and X, claimed there was some kind of kickback scheme involving H-1B hiring and that it led to terminations.
Okay, serious claims involving a major company and H-1B workers. How did Walmart respond?
Walmart did issue an official statement. They said an investigation did happen, and it led to terminating one vendor and a small number of US-based associates. But, and this is the key part they explicitly clarified, quote, the investigation had nothing to do with H-1B visas.
So an internal issue, but not related to H-1B fraud, as the rumors claimed.
According to Walmart's official statement, yes. But despite that denial, the rumors themselves triggered significant anxiety.
Especially within certain communities, I bet.
Particularly among the Indian diaspora here in the US, given their high representation in the H-1B program. It fueled fears that these kinds of allegations, even if unproven, could damage the perception of the program, maybe lead to negative consequences down the line.
It really underscores how sensitive this topic is and how rumors in today's information environment can have real-world impact, creating fear and uncertainty regardless of the facts.
Precisely. It raises big questions about navigating information, especially when people's careers and lives are potentially on the line.
Okay, let's try to pull this all together.
All right. So, in summary, our deep dive today really shows a landscape for H-1B and OPT that's incredibly dynamic, constantly evolving.
We saw the H-1B numbers for FY24, more petitions, more approvals, but that interesting shift towards initial employment.
Right, and the continued dominance from India and China, especially in computer fields. Then there's OPT, still active, growing even, but facing unprecedented scrutiny.
Yeah, the increased enforcement, social media checks, potential tax changes, definitely creating that climate of doubt we talked about.
And the broader political debate, still intense. Arguments about innovation and skills gaps clashing with worries about American jobs.
And finally, those Walmart rumors, showing how sensitive this all is, how quickly anxiety can spread, impacting real people.
It all paints a picture of complexity.
It really does. What stands out to me is that complexity, but also the very real human element behind all these policies and numbers. So for you, the listener, whether you're directly involved, maybe you're a student on OPT or thinking about H-1B, or an employer, or maybe you're just trying to understand this important topic, getting informed quickly but thoroughly is just crucial.
Absolutely. Understanding these trends, the statistics, the policy shifts, it's not just abstract. It's about making informed decisions, being prepared for what might come next.
As discussed in the subject matter of the topic today, the future of these programs, H-1B and OPT, will absolutely continue to shape careers, company strategies, and the whole U.S. innovation landscape. Staying informed, critically evaluating the information you see is really key.
Couldn't agree more.
All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter in the next meeting.